Imagine you have a friend Rohan. He has a samosa cart and his business is doing very well. So one day he comes and says, give me 10,000 rupees and I'll give you 10% of the company. What do? If you said yes, congratulations. You just bought a share. A share is basically a piece of the business. So now you're a shareholder. The ownership is called equity. So that means if the business is doing well, your part of it is also doing well. But if the business is struggling, your part of it is also struggling. Now, the most obvious question is, why is Rohan selling a piece of his business anyway? Because growing is expensive. So Rohan has two options. He can either borrow money and take debt, or he can sell tiny pieces of his business to the public, which is an IPO, initial public offering. Just a fancy way of saying that the shares are being offered to the public for the first time. Before an IPO, a company is private. After an IPO, it becomes public, which means people like you and me can buy and sell shares of it. Now the next obvious question is, where do we buy and sell these shares? Basically, these are traded on something called exchanges. Think of exchange like a marketplace, but instead of fruits, vegetables and clothes, they are buying and selling pieces of businesses. In India, the two big exchanges are NSE, National Stock Exchange, and BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange. And overlooking all of them is SEBI. Think of SEBI like a referee. The main job is to make sure nobody is cheating, manipulating prices, or scamming the investors. Now, here's the thing. You don't directly buy from the exchange, you go through the broker. These days, it's just an app. Grow, Zerodha, Upstock, same idea. And you realize there are two accounts that you need to have. One is trading account, which basically buys and sells your shares. Then you have Demat account, which basically holds your shares. So trading buys, Demat holds. Very simple. Now, Rohan's company is listed on the exchange. It will have a ticker symbol. Let's say it's samosa. So you open the app and you look for samosa and you find the share and the share price next to it, which let's say is 100 rupees. Now, how does this 100 rupees get decided? This confuses a lot of people. Rohan doesn't decide the price, SEBI doesn't decide the price, and definitely not some finance expert sitting in an office. The price is basically the last price a buyer and seller agreed on. This is how stock market prices are created. Lots of tiny agreements between buyers and sellers. Now you'll see a lot of terms here. The highest price a buyer is willing to pay is the bid. The lowest price a seller is willing to take is the ask. And the difference between the bid and the ask is the spread. But honestly, the bigger idea is supply and demand. If a lot of people want the same share, the price goes up. If a lot of people want to sell the share, the price comes down. And once you understand that, the basic concept of investing becomes very simple. But here's another question. Are prices and value the same? No. The price is whatever the people are willing to pay today, and the value is what the company is actually worth. Let's take an example. Suppose a famous cricketer is spotted at one of Rohan's samosa carts. Quickly it goes viral and people want a piece of the share, and then the prices go up. But think about it. Did the company open any new outlets or did the profits double overnight? No. The business barely changed. The crowd changed. Prices move up and down a lot because of people. People get scared, excited, nervous, greedy. It moves the prices. But value, it comes from the actual business. Outlets, profit, clients, etc. Things which take time to build. But now, if the price doesn't tell us how big a company is, what does? The answer is market cap. I know it sounds scary, but the idea is very simple. Basically, take the share price and take the total number of shares, multiply these two, and you get the market cap. Based on the market cap, the companies are actually divided into large cap, which are the list of largest companies in India, mid cap, companies which sit in the middle, and small cap, smaller companies which have more room to grow but have also more risk. So our samosa company probably is sitting in the small cap at the moment. But here's the problem. India has so many listed companies. How does anyone keep a track of them? You don't. You start with something called an index. An index is basically like a scorecard. But instead of tracking every listed company, it tracks a sample of companies. In India, the two famous indexes are Sensex and Nifty 50. So in the news, when someone says the market is up today, they usually mean the index is up today. Now, you look at the 50 companies in the index and you wonder, where should I invest? If your answer is, I don't know, welcome to the club. Now, this is where a mutual fund comes in. Basically, thousands of investors pool in money and a professional fund manager decides where this money should go. So, instead of betting everything on one company, which is the samosa company, you own small slices of many businesses. And that's the whole point of diversification. Basically, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Everything you own taken together is a portfolio. Now, fund managers are of two kinds. One, they try to beat the market, so that is active investing. And the other, they just try to copy the market. Passive investing. A popular passive investing fund is an index fund, where it basically copies the index as it is in the same proportion. Now, you'll also hear about ETFs. ETFs are basically index fund but which trade like stocks. Then comes SIP. It's just a way of investing a fixed amount periodically and automatically. It's like a future EMI for yourself. Now this is how a lot of us invest. But why bother at all? One word, compounding. And this is why you've probably heard this everywhere. Start early, start early, start early. That's because suppose you invest say 100 rupees today and you get a 10% return on it. Tomorrow it becomes 110. So next year, you don't earn money on 100 rupees anymore. You earn on 110. That's compounding. 100, 110, 121, 133, 146. Compounding is like a snowball rolling downhill. It starts small at first, but then it becomes bigger and much bigger. And that's why having more time in it matters more than timing. And the average yearly rate at which something grows has a term called CAGR. Now this is why a lot of people get anxious after investing because the prices move so much. Suppose our samosa company, the prices goes up to 120, falls to 90, goes up to 110, falls again. This is called volatility and it's pretty normal. But if we have long stretches of rising prices, that's the bull market. And if we have long stretches of falling prices, that's the bear market. Small dips along the way are corrections, but a big sudden drop is a crash. Now underneath all this is one important rule. Basically, the higher potential something has for higher reward, the more risk it also involves. That's the return risk trade-off. But now with so much volatility, how does one decide which company is even worth buying? So for this, you have to look at the numbers. Let's take our company Samosa for example. Revenue is all the money that comes in by selling the samosas. Profit or the net income is basically revenue minus all the expenses. Now suppose Samosa is earning 10 crore rupees profit in the year and it has 1 crore shares. Divide profit by the number of shares, 10 crores divided by 1 crore, 10 rupees per share, which is basically EPS, earnings per share. If you remember, the share was being bought and sold 100 rupees. That is the price of the share. So if we divide price divided by earnings, which is 100 by 10, it will give you PE ratio, which is price earnings ratio. It's a quick way to ask how expensive is this company for what it actually earns. Sometimes company hand over a part of the profit back to the people who are holding on to the shares. It's called dividend. Now before you start looking for which shares to buy, there's another part of the marketplace that you need to know, mostly to avoid it. Now you'll hear people saying F&O, futures and options, or more broadly the derivatives. The simplest way to understand is you're betting on where the price of the company stock will go without actually owning it. Now professionals and big institutions use this, but for beginners it's very much on the deep end. Same with leverage. Borrowing money to invest more than you can. It multiplies the gains but also multiplies the losses. Penny stocks are small companies with huge potential. And if someone comes to you promising guaranteed returns or the next multi-bagger, basically a stock which supposedly gives much higher returns than its price, be careful. That's how scams like pump and dump happen. What happens here is a group of people hype up a stock so much that the price goes up. Then they sell it at the highest price and everybody else who were believing in the hype will be left in it when the price eventually falls down. But these are not even the biggest dangers. The biggest dangers are closer to home. Suppose the share of samosa was trading at 800 rupees last year and now it's at 400 rupees. Your brain schemes bargain. Even though we don't know for sure if 800 rupees is the right price. We just latched on to a number and that's called anchoring. Or we want to do something because everybody else is doing it and getting profit from it. That's FOMO. Or if we bought the share at 500 rupees and now it's trading at 400 rupees and we know we need to sell it and move on, but we don't want to incur a loss, so we freeze and do nothing, that's loss aversion. The truth is, investing is not just understanding about the business, it's also about understanding yourself. So that's it. Now you've understood majority of the terms and so it's difficult for anyone to confuse, pressure or scam you. You just need to understand the game you're playing and now you mostly do. So if even one concept clicked for you today, let me know in the comments. And if this helped, stick around for more. I'll see you soon in the next video. Until then, bye bye.